think we have some at the back there. My colleague Sanyu over there. Yeah, everyone is moving around. Yes, David is over there. Thank you so much. Yeah, so some quick housekeeping rules. We will be sharing some goodies. So my colleague Sanyu will be passing around a registration form, just so we can get your contacts and information for future references in case we have any other presentations to be sharing. We can easily send that to you. So please kindly fill out the registration form that will be moving around so that we can get your contacts. And then we'll be having a presentation about our Sunscale project, after which then we will go into a brief panel session. Both sessions will have a Q&A moment, so please note down your questions. My colleague Sanyu and Patrick, we'll reintroduce them. Patrick over there will be available to pick your questions. So please feel free to write them down on a paper and share them, send them to him for the panelists to address for the interest of time. And then when we're done with that, with the panel session as well, we will be having a quick feedback session. We would really appreciate to get your feedback on, you know, the topic that was discussed, how can we improve, what was the key takeaway for you, and of course, yeah, what other lessons do you have to share with us from your experience? With that in mind, allow me to give my colleagues a few minutes to complete this process, as the SNV team has, yeah, kind of abandoned their property, but please bear with us. All right, we will be beginning shortly with a quick introduction about Ayuda and Acción. I know everyone struggles to pronounce our name, so we're going to get the correct pronunciation for that. I don't know if we are live streaming. People on the live stream, if they can hear us, great. All right. I will hand it over to my colleague Patrick to introduce us a bit about Ayuda and Acción, our background in Uganda, where we're from, the interventions that we've been working on in the energy space, but also beyond the energy space. Patrick, over to you.
All right, great. Good afternoon, colleagues. Yeah, as you can hear, my name is Patrick Awoy, and I support Ayuda and Acción as a monitoring and evaluation lead for the country projects. Now, my job here today is a 1-minute job, just to give you a brief background about Ayuda and our interventions in the country and in the region. So Ayuda and Acción is an international non-governmental organization, and we've been in this business for over 40 years. But in Uganda, we've spent so far about 7 years, starting 2018. So in terms of our interventions, our strategy has 4 basic tenets to hit. So the first one is our triple-E approach. And by triple-E, we mean that we are implementing interventions around education, employment, and entrepreneurship. And the second tenet to our approach is in protection rights, where we have projects that ensure that the rights of children and young people are served in both the development and the humanitarian context. And so the third approach to our strategy is we're looking at the green economy and in terms of its adaptation to climate change. And then the fourth, of course, is humanitarian action. Now, the project, the Sunscale project that we're implementing in the humanitarian space, as it is going to be showcased today, is that which is implemented within the humanitarian action. And so as of 2022, Ayuda and Acción launched a new strategy that led to the creation of this pilot project called Sunscale that is going to be presented today. And we're happy that our panel will help us expound more to enrich our learnings as we hope to scale this, this project. And so it is within that time that we ventured into the energy space and in this country, and we hope that together with the rest of the development partners, we will be able to contribute to the energy space within the country. So with that 2 to 3 minutes introduction of Ayuda, I would love to introduce David Okello to come and take us through the Sunscale interventions that we have implemented so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Good afternoon, everybody. In the interest of time, we could go to the next slides. Yes. I will make a presentation on one of the projects which we piloted for 2 years, and it's a Sunscale project. This particular project was started in 2023 up to 2024. And we piloted this in the districts of Achumani, Lamour, and Obongi. We used the market system development approach for this particular intervention. The goal of the project was to increase access to renewable energy, especially for agricultural production and clean cooking among the refugees and host communities. As I will explain later on the market system development approach, it's anchored on some principles, and one of them is to facilitate and strengthen the market systems, as opposed to the emergency and development aid that is normally like hand-given. A brief of the context in which we have been operating. What informed the project was a problem situation we have in the region or in the country at large. From the statistics, you find that only about 57.2 urban Ugandans and 22.1 rural Ugandans have access to renewable energies. And as you go upwards to the northern region, the West Nile region has as low as 10%. And to us, that was something that needed intervention. Now, as we started this project, we focused on 2 outcomes area. One was to increase the access to the solar water pumps for smallholder farmers. And then the second one was to increase access to modern cooking for households, institutions, with the aspect of cost efficiency, gender promotion, and environmental protection. Next slide. As I initiated before, the market system development approach sometimes is also referred to as making the market works for the poor. It's a development strategy that aims to create sustainability and large-scale improvement in the market system. It tries to fix some of the underlying causes of the market underperformance, but also it focuses on making the market more inclusive for both the refugees, the poor, and the disadvantaged community. And the market systems approach looks at addressing some of the constraints and opportunities within the market itself. So it's anchored on some principles, but the key ones I would want to talk about is the aspect of sustainability and the principle of facilitation, but not the direct delivery, which is a normal or a common approaches in most of the development domain. So what we did was to reach out to different partners, private sectors, actors, and we facilitated them. We incentivized them to move from their respective comfort offices in Kampala, in other parts of the country, to get established in the region, in the West Nile region. And also we looked at supporting them to get established, and I'm happy to note that as we talk now, most of these private sector actors have already established businesses and centers in the districts we have been operating or we are still operating in. Next slide. Now, after concluding the 2 years pilot project, we decided to conduct a study to evaluate on the performance of this pilot project. And the aim of the study was to assess the impact and scalability of the market system development approach. But also the second one was to generate learning for future interventions and possibility of scaling up. We adopted a mixed method of qualitative and quantitative study design. And out of 139 populations, those that adopted the solar water pump and clean cooking, we took a sample of 106 respondents, and those informed the study. Of course, those mixed methods, each of them had its own techniques of data collection. We had surveys for the quantitative, and then we had the focus group discussion and key informant for the qualitative. When we were doing the study, of course, our focus was at those 4 or 5 key areas on accessibility, affordability, productivity, gender issues, and sustainability. So those guided what we were looking for as we did the evaluation. Next slide. Let me share with you some of the findings. But of course, you can get the details of this in the evaluation report, which I think will also be shared with you. In terms of accessibility, the study found that 77% of respondents reported improved access to energy technologies over the last 18 months when we conducted the study. And the study was done towards the end of 2024. And there was also a report of improved availability on the financing and maintenance services. There was also a report found on a huge presence of the market presence of the energy products, companies, and agents in those 3 districts that we have been operating on or operating in. Next slide. We also looked at another very key result area of the evaluation, that is the agricultural productivity, and majorly was on horticulture. There was a significant increase of productivity of 79% of the respondents we interviewed. And in terms of the increase in income, over 90% of the farmers also reported quite improvement in their income. And then we also wanted to find out what could have been the drivers for these changes. One was that unlike previously, this time the farmers could do their planting throughout the year. both in dry season and also in the raining season. 2, because of the solar water pump for irrigation, there was increase in the land size for cultivation, and that also contributed to the increase both in productivity and also the income. Next slide. The other very interesting key result area was gender and the social impact. 75% of the respondents reported a reduction of workload for women. And the workload reduction was experienced more for the clean cooking adopters, up to 80%. And for solar water pump, it was only at 75%. This was attributed to the fact that when it comes to farming and the usage of the solar water pumps, men normally took the lead, and because they have the financial muscles in the household, they took control. While for the clean cooking, it was majorly something that is still a domain which is given to women. There was also an aspect of women's economic empowerment. 38% of the respondents also reported that they were highly empowered through this project, while 50 were moderately empowered. Next slide. In terms of the market development, I'm also happy to report and note that the companies, the private sector actors we have been working with, I'm sure my colleague Ella will take time to introduce them later, are quite well grounded and established in these districts we are operating in. They have already centers for their products that, unlike previously where people would come to buy these products from Kampala, someone can walk in Ajumani, in Lamour, in Ubongi, and get these products quite easily. The other key notable observation from the study was that because of some of the challenges in accessing financial services, the companies also introduced the pay-as-you-grow financing scheme, which would allow the beneficiaries to pay for these products by installment. If you give a deposit of about 20% as the initial payment, you are given your solar water pump, and then you agree on a monthly payment until when you complete, and you eventually own that particular product. There has been extensive expansion of distribution networks and service availability in all these districts that we are operating in. Next slide. Some challenges. It wasn't all bed of roses. I will speak to only 2 of these key challenges. One is the weak financial linkages. Most of our communities have challenges trusting the banking financial institutions. And I think it's based on their past experiences, whereby when you borrow loans, the recovery is a little bit aggressive. So it makes them quite afraid of getting loans from the bank. They prefer to get loans from their circles and to borrow from their friends and from the bank. But also the banking institution had their reservation on giving loans to refugees, because they have a tendency of getting loans and then the next day they are across the border in Sudan and there's no way you can trace them to recover the loan. So it's a both-way challenge that we had on that. And then the other aspect of challenge was the gender barriers. You must have noted the percentages of women involved in this. I think this is because we are still in a community which is male-dominated, So there's still a little space for women to make decisions. So it's an area that should be worked on so that the ground is level for men and women to equally be empowered and take up decisions in their households. Next, please. Some recommendations, what also we learned from this study. There should be a robust M&E system that tracks some of the progress and challenges. As we're aware, the market system is based on addressing some of the challenges in the market. So if the M&E system is well established and is able to provide quick feedback on some of the gaps, it also gives opportunity for it to be addressed quite early enough. And then the other aspect, of course, is the gender equality, which I'm passionate about. There should be a deliberate interventions and efforts to empower these women so that they're able to take up their decisions by themselves and also own their destiny. Next. In conclusion, one, our experience of the Sunscale project in Ajumani, Obongia, and Lamont is a testament that the market system development approach or module can as well function even in a complex humanitarian setting. It's quite challenging though, but it's possible. We have tested the ground, it works. Two, the study also demonstrated, or the project demonstrated that clean energy drives livelihoods, empowerment, and also the environmental gains. And lastly, but not least, is that the private sector innovation can also work quite well in a refugee setting, and it helps to catalyze and boost the market systems, which supports the MSD approach. Thank you. I had to run quite quickly because of time. I'm sure I did this within the stipulated time.
Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to David. David is the person who is he's the regional coordinator for our Jumani office. And if you have any questions regarding the MSD model, he's been leading, implementing it. So any questions, please note them down. Like I mentioned, in the interest of time, we were initially meant to have a Q&A session right after his presentation. However, because we have another panel coming up, I'm requesting that we write down our questions. And if you have one, just raise your hand, and my colleague Sanyu over there, Sanyu will come and pick the question from you so that we'll have the Q&A session at the end of the panel session as well. All right, so thank you so much, David, once again. To those who are just joining us, our next part of the day is to have a panel session. We have different experts coming to join us on discussions for our theme regarding, yes, our theme on scaling up stronger communities and better lives. So allow me to welcome our first panelist, Elizabeth Kaijuka, who is Acting Assistant Commissioner for the Ministry of Energy. Elizabeth, Elizabeth has experience, over 20 years of experience working with the ministry, so going to get some pretty good insights there. Our next panelist is Francis Mwesije, who is the Chief Coordinator, Chief Economist and Director with the Uganda Development Bank. And then our next panelist is also Agnes. Oh, sorry, no, Ivan, my bad. Ivan Taremwa, who is Energy Advisor with GIZ. Yay! For those who know the inside joke, you know. Those who don't, I'm sorry. Then we also have Naluwaga Agnes, who is the head of bioenergy and coordinator at the Creation for Center for Renewable Energy and Conservation, which we call CREEC here. She's representing the academia side. And then lastly, we have Mr. Canary Bogere, who is the commercial manager with Tulima Solar, one of our implementing partners. Okay, great. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for making it. I will just request quickly, everyone can give us a quick round of introduction, but I will also be giving a question to each of you. We'll start with Elizabeth. So introduction and then your answer to the question. So regarding our topic and our presentation, we would like to understand ministry's support and involvement in policy, investment, and delivery of actions that the ministry prioritizes, and how does that help scale up productive use of energy?
Thank you, Ella. First of all, I just want to commend this project. I think it's great. I haven't seen many projects where you reach the end user. Usually people go through the companies or the banks, so this has been unique. So as far as the ministry is concerned, the energy policy, you might be aware of 2023, provides a strong foundation. It identifies PUE as a key barrier to, socioeconomic growth. So one of the things it's done, it's mainstreamed PUE into electrification initiatives, both on-grid and off-grid. So, electricity access is linked to income generation and enterprise growth, etc. Secondly, we're developing a productive use of energy strategy and plan, where we hope projects like this and all the development partners, this is being supported by the World Bank. So we hope that we can incorporate all these studies and learnings and really, the aim of this strategy and implementation plan is to identify high potential value chains and technologies for PUE, to recommend appropriate policy actions and regulatory measures, and to develop a roadmap which is costed for the implementation plan. The other thing, you talked about investments, that's it. So policy-wise, we're on track. Everything is, PUE is a priority in the NDP4, in the energy policy, it is central. So in terms of investments, one of the things we're doing is through the Uganda Energy Capitalization Company, we're providing subsidies. So that's under the Electricity Access Scale-Up Project, again under the World Bank. So we're providing, financing instruments, credit lines, risk guarantees, basically targeted appliance financing for PUE equipment, and through the banks. So this is one of the ways to de-risk the private sector in terms of PUE investments. In terms of delivery, where we have demonstration projects. Really, it's because for scale up. So we just have solar irrigation sites. We have solar water pumping, even street lights. PUE encompasses everything. It's not just agricultural. Even e-mobility, clean cooking is under. Actually, one of the things that I hope we can achieve through this PUE strategy and plan is to ride on this clean cooking momentum. It's equally important. Clean cooking is part of PUE, so we can also use that same drive, maybe behavioral change, all these other aspects. So those are some of the things that we're doing to promote PUE. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That's quite interesting. I think not many of us knew that PUE cuts across the whole renewable energy space, not just solar agriculture, but rather even e-mobility and the like. So that's something for us to learn. And regarding behavioral change, I think it's something I know many people in the room would be very, very interested in understanding what the way forward would be for that, given the fact that we have, I think, the knowledge management unit coming up within the ministry. So that's something that I think would be very, very a good learning for most of us in this space. Okay, thank you so much. Again, guys, please note down your questions. We will be addressing them at the end of the session. Next is our representative from the financial side. No pressure, please. Just Mr. Francis, could you help explain to the room which financing instruments are most effective for de-risking and catalyzing private investment across the clean energy supply chain? And also introduction.
Yeah, thank you, Eda. My name is Francis Mwesije. I work for UDB, Uganda Development Bank, as a chief economist and also director for economic research and knowledge management. It's the same directorate where our green finance function sits, and we have mainstreamed green financing. One of the key priority areas is energy, and renewable energy to be specific. So with renewable energy, we really do support the entire chain. We do support generation. We have actually funded some of relatively big solar plants that supply directly to the grid. I think the very recent one that is still at the tail end of implementation is the Zabonkonge, those who might know that. And then we also go the entire chain up to the consumer side. But here, like the renewable hasn't been much more on rather solar, but hydro, where we have partnerships with ERA and the Ministry of Energy in this space. Instruments. I think it's important that even before we think about the instruments, especially from the financial side, we get to understand the structure of our market and the segment of renewable energy chain that we are dealing with. When you're dealing with consumers of these products, be it biomass, be it solar powered irrigation systems, one, you want to understand the structure of that market, of that segment. From the areas that we do operate in, definitely we'd have like Greater Kampala Metropolitan, where you have relatively big players, but you also have rural areas where we do support farmers, and these are micro players. The micro segments face different challenges, and you cannot fund them the same way you do fund the big players, say here in Greater Kampala Metropolitan. And what we've done, where you find small micro players, rather, that are disjointed, not organized in groups, sometimes we prefer organizing them in groups. Because look, from the demand and supply of finance, from the supply side, you do care about cost of financing and the risk. And normally these small players exhibit these two, have these two challenges. And so what you do want to minimize on the cost, you want to aggregate them, work with them as a group. Number two, you need to have guarantees to reduce on the risk. Because like I've said, normally small players or micro players, if we're talking of MSMEs, micro players such as smallholder farmers, if you directly deal with them, they are challenged with, exposed to weather vagaries. If they're into production, they would make losses. So you need insurance to come in. You need guarantors to come in. I'll give an example. At UDB, we have a partnership with Africa Guarantee Fund. So if we are financing smallholders, and they have a unique proposition where if you're giving money to a women-led business or a youth-led business or in the agriculture space, or it's green financing, they guarantee up to 75% of that facility. What does that mean? That if you're dealing with this lady that has no collateral, they have no land, then you have that guarantee covering 75% of the collateral that they would have to offer. And that, in a way, helps to de-risk, but also to ease access to financing by these smallholders. So that's one of the key instruments, guarantees. The other one is the aggregation. If you're to deal with a micro farmer, I'll give an example of UDB. We have 5 branches across the country. The 5 branches are real new. We've actually opened 3. Mbale, we've opened Guru, we've opened Hoima, we have Arua and Barara coming, but we mainly centrally operate from here. So if you had finance a small player, a farmer, in, say, one of the districts that you've mentioned, in Obongi, let's say, it means you are going to send a team of analysts to go and visit this project. Someone is looking for 2 million. So if you send a credit analyst, you send, they have a relationship manager that has to visit this project, basically the costs of analyzing, assessing this project will be equal to, and normally you have to absorb this money because it's not free money. So that's what raises the cost. So what we've done in our microfinancing scheme is to partner with the local fintechs. For example, we are currently running a pilot. It's still at pilot phase. We are looking at scaling it with a local fintech called Nsibuko. It's operating in northern Uganda in West Nile. And what we do, they have a digital platform, and they deal with farmers organized in SMEs. So these farmers, they normally, rather in VSLAs, not SME, in Village Savings and Loan Associations. These farmers, in their small groups, they keep records. They've trained them to keep records of how much each saves, how much each borrows, and so forth, and the repayment capacity. So there is a Mobis app, there is a digital platform that does, it has an inbuilt algorithm. It will do this analysis and return the eligibility one of the borrower and the max that they can borrow, depending on their history of saving and borrowing. So that has helped us in a way that the algorithm does what a credit officer would do. And guess what? We get to lend to this cooperative at 6%. The market rate is 22%, UDB lends at 12%, but with this kind of arrangement, you get to lend to at 6%. That significantly brings down the cost of borrowing. So those are some of the innovative financial instruments and models that can help you support such projects. There is more that we could speak. The risking instrument, I've talked of insurance. We need to insure this. But in addition to that, on the demand side, you need to prepare. If they're organized in groups, you need to train them. And that's where now partnerships and collaborations become key. Financiers may not have the capacity to go train. But if we partner with Ayuda, for instance, you probably have grassroots structures that can train and build that pipeline that you send to the financiers to on-lend. I'll end it here. Those are some of the instruments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's very, very informative information. I think the room can agree. Lending at 6% is quite very, it's for the market, basically, the Ugandan market. So thank you so much. Again, guys, please write down your questions. Next, our next panelist is Mr. Bogere. Sorry, we'll first jump to Ivan. We'll jump to Mr. Tarimo Ivan first. And the question is, what evidence exists of effectiveness of demand-side subsidies in improving affordability and uptake for clean cooking technologies?
Thank you very much, Ella, and good afternoon to everyone. I do work with Energizing Development, Uganda. It's a project under the GIZ Energy and Climate Program. And globally, it's a flagship energy access program that is in its 20th year of implementation, fueled by funding from the governments of Germany, Netherlands, Norway, and Switzerland. Through our work, we've enabled access to energy for 5.6 million people globally. So to bring it back home to Uganda, as NDEV Uganda, we do focus on increasing energy access for households, social institutions, and for productive uses of energy. So that's energy access, clean cooking technologies, and solar as well. Similar to what I saw in the Sunscale presentation, we also do focus on a market-based approach with our key implementation tools being the result-based financing projects, but as well as business development support. We also do support innovations, awareness creation, gender mainstreaming, and the like. And what we've seen is that much as we do focus on the market-based approaches, we do see also a need within certain vulnerable communities to implement demand-side interventions. So, for example, having a subsidy for end users that would want to access these clean cooking technologies. And it's through that thought that a pilot project was launched in 2022 called the Demand-Side Subsidy Pilot Project under NDEV. Uganda is one of the countries running that project, as well as other countries like Malawi and Liberia. So the target overall was to reach 400,000 end users with clean cooking and solar technologies. And so far what we've seen for Uganda is over 20,000 beneficiaries have received solar technologies, and over 5,000 on the clean cooking side. So demand side subsidies or support is required because in these vulnerable communities, there's still the big question of affordability. And we do work very closely with UNHCR within the refugee work that we do. And one of the estimates they work with constantly is that 22% of the income of the refugees actually goes to energy. So either energy for cooking or lighting. And what a subsidy for them would mean is that some of this is channeled to savings that would then maybe improve other parts of their livelihood. I think that's one thing I would mention. But also, how is this designed? Because in the back end, it's not Ayuda, it's not GIZ, it's not NDEV that will actually promote these products. It's the private sector. So we cannot go in with only demand side subsidies. We also need the supply side. Because the companies that sell these technologies always complain, there's high costs of doing business in some of these spaces. It's hard to reach these markets. Maybe people don't know these products. So a lot of them need that other support through a subsidy to enable them go to these untapped markets. I thought I would mention that. So in the end, what we've seen as NDEV is a blend of the two might be a better fit, such that both on the end user side and on the supplier side, they are covered on most of the risks. Yeah, I think that's what I can share for now. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Like the idea of blended RBF, I think it's quite very clear that the market, one-sided RBFs tend to distort the market a bit, so it's good to know that, going forward, we can advocate for blended RBFs that cater to both the end user but also the supply side. Once again, guys, thank you so much for being patient with us, and we will be taking questions at the end. So please, if you have any questions, write it down, put up your hand. My colleague Sanyu over there will come and take your question to be addressed later. So moving on to the next panelist, we have a lady who I'm sure everyone is very familiar with, Agnes Naluwaga, who is with REC. So the question is, what concrete strategies will ensure energy solutions are environmentally sustainable, financially viable, and accessible to vulnerable users over a long period of time?
Thank you, Ella. Yes, I'm Agnes Naluwaga Doko with the Center for Research in Energy and Energy Conservation, REC, that's located in the Chambogo area. Before I talk about the question that I've been given, I just wanted to give a bit of brief about the work that REC is doing in relation to productive use of energy. CREC has been involved in doing capacity building and training awareness, especially for solar powered irrigation systems in the central and eastern parts of the country, working with different partners. It has been very vigilant in the contribution to the development of the national pure roadmap that is currently in use, and also worked with Ayuda on solar cooling and drying potential for agriculture and aquaculture value chains in northern Uganda. But also, I know this is focusing a lot on, let's say, solar and the kind, but CREC has also been very deliberate in the promotion of clean cooking, working mostly in testing of these products, doing training, skilling, as well as the feasibility of these technologies within the country. So there's been a lot of this work over the years, and those are some of CREC's contribution to this particular discussion. And coming to the question of what concrete strategies can we use to ensure that energy solutions are environmentally sustainable, financially viable, and accessible to vulnerable users, and I would say maybe to the entire nation. In an earlier discussion this morning, we're discussing on standards. And when you think about what are those things that we need to do to ensure sustainability of energy solutions, things that actually work and make sense for the communities at large, one of the most obvious things is that we need to ensure that the quality of the products that we have on the market, be it for productive use of energy, cooking, lighting, whatever it is, that they are quality products. Because we've seen over time that once the users lose trust in these products, then we are not going to see growth, we are not going to see continued adoption and use of these technologies over time. So one of the things that we really need to pay attention to is ensuring that the products that are coming onto the market are quality products. And how do we achieve this? I know some of the, many times we have an issue of affordability versus quality assurance, but some of these are things that can actually be resolved if we consider things like local manufacture. For example, if you look at the case of solar drying systems, many of these can actually be done locally with local products, and you just kind of need to continually do maybe a bit of R&D to ensure how do we get the most efficient solar dryer, and these are things that we can access in our communities. So you realize a lot of the technologies may actually be within our reach if we skill the people within our communities, the local artisans, and are able to come up with products that can be used by the communities. So there's an aspect of skilling, there's an aspect of quality, quality products, and also as we are doing this, thinking about the end of life, the life cycle of these technologies. Many times we kind of will just look at what we need right now. For example, in the clean cooking, like earlier mentioned, is kind of booming right now. But if we don't think about it in totality, the entire life cycle of some of these technologies, we'll get to a point and there is no sustainability of these technologies because we are not thinking about what happens at the end of life of these technologies. So those are things that we need to keep thinking about. One of the things that I've seen that's happening, for example, in the cooking energy sector, especially, I know there's a lot of talk right now about e-cooking. So people have adopted these technologies, but one of the challenges was that there were not so many technicians that could repair these technologies. And so a program came, and there's, not continuous, but there's a wide country-wide training of technicians. So part of these trainings, which CREC has been actively involved in, we've actually seen that, there's a lot of interest among technicians in whatever region you go to that want to be part of this. But then beyond them just learning how to repair these technologies, they're actually starting to do businesses, selling these products, but also kickstarting businesses that are repair. And you see, once someone increases their income or livelihood, you start to see they're even able to achieve, they're able to buy quality products on the market. So it's kind of, it goes round. Are you able to increase the income of the people so that they're able to even afford these technologies? So thinking about it in that way also helps. But also a lot of the discussion has been on different business financial models that can be done. I won't talk so much about it, but when you look at the financial aspects, besides increasing the amount of money that people have in their pockets to be able to buy these products, what are those different business models that can be put in place that have already been discussed that can help us ensure that we have continued use of these products? I submit.
Okay, thank you so much. I like the fact that you touched on the topic of end of life, basically waste management for these, renewable energy products and technologies that we distribute to the different communities. It's something to keep in mind, because at the end of the day, we don't want to add to that problem of, e-waste management. So that's something, a solution that I think would be helpful for communities to also, have as a solution there. Then we'll come to our last panelist, Mr. Canary. Welcome. The question is, how can market system... Sorry, is that me or our technicians? All right. How can market systems development, MSD approaches, effectively engage and incentivize private sector companies to provide reliable, affordable, and energy solutions in refugee settlements and host communities? Basically, what has been your experience? What has Tulima Solar done in the space to incentivize the customer?
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Canary Williams Bogere. I'm from Tulima Solar. To talk about Tulima Solar, we deal with productive use of energy solutions. We've been known for providing solar-powered irrigation pumps, but we've extended our catalog now into agricultural processing machines that are all solar-powered. We have locations both in Kampala here, Lira, Arua, and then Obongi. And part of what you've asked, I think, one of the key things that everyone asks, how are you in this kind of setting, Obongi? And it's simply because of the support that we're provided, one from the supply point of view, by our partner Ayuda to support us to have a presence there. What we do normally is provide design and then installation, and also provide after-sale service, because like mentioned earlier on in Sunscale, one of the challenges we have is after-sale service, but that is part of the services we provide to all our customers, that even we provide free service up to a period of 2 years. So a customer is able to enjoy the product without any additional cost. What can we do? There are two fronts with the experiences we've had, two fronts. One, from the demand side, I'll talk about support to the users. We've had subsidies. I think earlier on before this, we've had these other subsidies like Elizabeth has mentioned, UECCC. Ayuda was the first to start off with us on some of these subsidies. We had a subsidy to the host and refugees at 40%, but we noticed that the uptake was only on the hosts, and the refugees were having challenges uptaking that. And then later on, the project increased the subsidy to 50%, still the same thing. But as a as a company, we've been trying to work with different partners on how best we can support the affordability issue with refugees. And one of the partners, we worked with some of the partners, and we're actually able to break that when it came to group financing for the refugees. We're actually able to sell around 70 units to groups and that are host and refugee led. So they were able to afford those pumps on a group model. Yeah. Then when I talk about from the market side also, we know that one of the challenges of these technologies is awareness. And for the private company to move from this location of Kampala to create awareness in Obongi, in Lamu, in Germany is not something easy. So it requires support. And I'm sure many of these companies would want to be there, but the question is, how is it really something, a venture you can really take? Is it a profitable venture you can take? So most times they are like, no, I think I can make my sales in Kampala, but I need to be supported if I'm to go to those kind of locations. Then the other bit is also building the infrastructure from the supply point of view, building the infrastructure to get to that side. You need stock, you need a service point, you need a team of people to be there. And you need to make the branch profitable. How long will it take you to actually make that branch profitable is something you are not so sure, given the affordability challenges that you find in those areas. So I believe if supported in those areas, we can break success in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's very, very helpful information. The fact that the issue of sustainability, because as we know, a lot of companies, UNAC, Uganda National Alliance for Clean Cooking, has been doing awareness campaigns all over the country, trying to connect centralized suppliers to far and hard to reach places in communities, to retailers in those places. However, even that is difficult because the issue of sustainability is a problem. Stocking, like you said, infrastructure. So I like the fact that Tulima Solar has been able to achieve that, breaking that barrier and showing that, oh, it's doable with the support, that you're getting. So one more round of question, but however, in the interest of time, it will be a question, but at the same time, you share your parting notes. Yeah. And then after that, guys, quick question. Should we do the paper questions, or do you want to raise your hand and ask your questions? Raise your hands and ask your questions. Great, but please let us not be African about those questions. Let's keep them short and sweet. All right, great. So the last question is, what are the most effective and critical energy access barriers faced by refugees and host communities? And how can we scale up, support countrywide and beyond? Give examples and a benchmark for us to adopt from.
Thank you, Ella. I realized I didn't introduce myself before. I'm Elizabeth Kejuka Okwenje. I'm the Acting Assistant Commissioner for Renewable Energy in the Energy Resources Department that's organizing this conference. I think it's obvious what you've all addressed the barriers. Yeah, we all know it's the affordability, and then obviously in refugee areas, the semi-permanent financial inclusion for the refugees. But at least for scaling up, I mentioned it already before. I really think we should have this momentum from clean cooking and PUE as the umbrella kind of sector to drive it forward. Listen to the banks with their issues, the private sector, the R&D, the development partners. So my hope is, and it's just starting, this PUE strategy and implementation plan, please look out for it. We hope we can tie in everything and really have a result with, and then piggybacking on the clean cooking campaigns. Yes, I submit.
All right, thank you so much. Over to you, Francis.
Thank you. Constraints, there are demand and supply side constraints which are interlinked. On the demand side, broadly, I'd speak to awareness, and this is a theme that has been real sounded, access of the right products, right quality products, then affordability. On the supply side, on the other side, is financing is key. We see many innovations that die in infancy. They don't get to see the market because either there is no limited funding for commercialization, there is need for what we call viability gap funding. That's where blended finance becomes key. So how do financial institutions, for example, come in through a blend of sort of grants, sort of loans, equity, to catalyze private sector investment in this space. So it's real key. And as my parting shot, I think we need to enhance collaboration in this space. I find many scattered players running in silos with unsustainable interventions. You run a project for 2 years, leave, and it ends there. But then you have someone that is into financing, for example, is in those communities for some good time. But even these that are into financing, they have no one that is preparing in banking, financing, development financing. There's what we call quality pipeline. I have financing, I'm struggling to identify who to give money, but there's someone that can train and build the capacity of these potential beneficiaries and prepare them and give them to me as a pipeline. It's a win-win. So how can we enhance collaboration? How can we work together as players in this space to enhance access, affordability, and the broader scaling of these interventions?
Okay.
I do submit.
Thank you so much. Have you had quality pipeline, please, guys? Quality pipeline. So for those who are already in the space, I hope you're taking notes. Mr. Bogere, parting shots.
Thank you, Ella. I think they have mentioned the first issues that are from the demand side, but I would like to speak on behalf of maybe the private energy players. One of the key issues, the financing for the companies. There is a challenge, and I think it echoes back to when we had agricultural financing being high risk. It's a similar risk right now that is trading in the energy sector. Someone is telling you they want to finance an energy company which is profitable. There is no company right now that is profitable without the support of other partners. So if you want to finance one that is profitable, running on its own money, it is going to take time to get there. But how do we get the banks to finance these companies like they did earlier on with agriculture? Because it was a similar trend we had earlier on, that agriculture is risky, but right now every bank is now driving into agriculture. How do we have these financial institutions support the private sector in financing them with affordable working capital to expand to reach these last mile customers? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Agi, over to you.
Yes, I think like already reiterated, the issue is really the affordability. And for me, I just looked at it in a twofold, looking basically at the demand and the supply side. Is one, how do you reduce the cost of production? And then two is how do you increase affordability? So it's an issue of looking at development versus prosperity. You know, like development, you can have the electricity lines running over your home, but you're not able to access. But when we have a prosperous nation, then that means everyone is able to tap into that electricity. So how do you increase the money in the pockets of the people that they're able to afford? And what is it that we can do around costs of production so that we lower the cost? So there are many answers there, but those are the questions I want to leave to the room so that we think through that. Thanks.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Lastly, Mr. Tarima.
Yeah, it's hard to add to what my colleagues have said. Maybe I'll just build a bit on a few of the points. I like the bits about sustainability of interventions and collaboration in the sector. I think this is the only way we shall have long-term benefits for all these projects we are doing. And in that vein, I open the door to the Ayuda team to come and engage more with us. Through our project interventions, we're happy to share about what we've done, the lessons, the wins, the losses, such that as you move forward into the next phase of the Sunscale project, all this can be streamlined and better implemented. I also appeal to you to engage and involve the sector associations, that is the USEA and UNAC. The private sector is a very key player in this MSD that you're trying to implement, and we need their voice. Speak to other RBF implementers. Like I've said, I've opened the door for the NDEV engagements, but there's BGFA around UECCC with the Energy Access Scale-Up project and all that, and maybe, and I'm sure the ministry was about to allude to this, we've done a few projects, but I think as a country we still need much more. So yeah, I think very welcome that more interventions are coming on board, and I think the collaboration is critical, sector-wide. Yeah, development partners, financial institutions, government, to see that these interventions yield more benefits. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. In the spirit of knowledge sharing, we will take the offer up. It's good to know that, all our panelists are all alluding to collaboration and partnerships. Our sector in Uganda is still growing. It's done significantly quite well in the region as a whole. However, there's still a lot more work to be done. So we Africans believe, a home is never a home without 10 people in it. So let's fill up the sector, and make the collaboration stronger and be able to yield more results. Without further ado, thank you so much to our panelists for joining us, for taking the time. I know it's late evening, and we appreciate you joining us and giving the insights that the different colleagues will be able to follow up on. We'll be sharing that presentation that we made and our takeaway notes from this discussion. So my colleague has been walking around taking your emails, so kindly please do share your emails so that we can share this information as well as our report with you. So we move on to the last part of our session today, which is the Q&A. Could we see any questions so far? And please, once again, let's keep it short and sweet for the people who have to go pick children from school. Please mention your name, your organization, and who the question is addressed to.
All right, thank you. I'm Michael Nemusima. I work with... I stand?
Yes, please.
All right.
For the audience.
I'm Michael Nemusima. I work with Oxfam and under productive use of energy. A few areas of clarity. The gentleman from the UDB, yes, has mentioned 6%. Is it an annual interest or it is a monthly interest? And then 75% that you've said is guaranteed. There's a firm that guarantees a security up to 75% for women and youth, right? Is it a collateral free? Or that firm also goes further to do some validations? And then what is the threshold of the VSLAs to be able to benefit under the NTIBUCO, or where there is no NTIBUCO and there is another firm that has the similar app, what would be the threshold for those VSLAs to benefit from the financing? And then finally the coverage. If I'm in Yumbe, I'm in Rhino, I'm in other areas of West Nile, could I be confident to invite UDB or their correspondents to touch base with the groups for more insights? Thank you.
Sorry, let's get, is there any other question in the room? None at the moment? Great. Francis, over to you.
Thank you, Michael. 6% is what we would call apex lending. That's what UDB lends to NCBUCO at. And then NCBUCO on lends adds a margin to on lend to the final beneficiaries, the group members. But we cap it because, again, we have to keep it concessional. We've capped it at 15% at about 1.25 per month for NCBUCO to on lend. And that's our arrangement with them. Of course, they can't on lend at the same rate we give them at. They have to have a margin to sustain the operations. 75%, this is collateral guarantee cover. So it happens a lot in our micro lending, we take untitled land. But you find that some women do not have even assets to cover or to secure the value that they are taking from the bank. And so with this arrangement with Africa Guarantee Fund, it covers up to 75%, the value of loan. So there is a balance of about 25%, which could be covered by real small physical assets or some, again, there are a number of securities and different arrangements that we do have with micro borrowers. The threshold for VSL8 benefit, what if you're in the North Indian Sibuko catchment area? Unfortunately for now, like I said, we are piloting an instrument. We started with Northern Uganda and West Nile. Fortunately, Yumbe is one of those that we are covering, the districts. So what happens if you have VSLAs in Yumbe? One, you can either go through UDB to introduce you to Nsibuko. And basically what Nsibuko does is an introduction and registration and taking details, financial details, saving, and other related information of that VSLA, and then, of course, have it in their platform for on lending. So basically, that's how it works. I think that also answers the other question on Yumbe. If you can invite UDB, yes, you can. And I'm happy to share my contact after here for follow-up. Thank you.
All right, great. Any other questions for our panelists? If not, then thank you so much, everyone. I think it's been an informative session to understand what the different stakeholders are doing within the market, within the sector. It's quite engaging, and we hope that to see a lot more scale up of PUE activities and projects across the country. We as Ayuda and Acción, our goal is to be able to reach the rest of the country, not just currently where we're operating in the northern region, but would like to also form partnerships that would be able to take us to the east, the west, and of course the central. With those parting words, please look out for our communications on our next steps. We'll be sharing what we are doing next. And to the panelists, once again, thank you so much. And to those in the room, again, thank you so much. Before we leave, I'm going to request, we wanted to do a quick survey. So I am going to just share the link with you there on the screen for just feedback, for us to know how to improve, what to do better, what topics you are interested in, so that in the future, perhaps we could benchmark off other countries, not just Uganda, but a model maybe being applied in Ethiopia, Kenya, wherever. So we could always have those kinds of discussions through webinars. So if you're okay with it, could we have the quick survey? It would 6 questions. Is that all right? Guys, please. Alive. Yes, it's all right. Great. All right, so let's move on to our Mentimeter session. For those who are online or streaming in, the code is going to be shared on the screen shortly, and so will the questions be displayed there. But please use your phone, link into the Mentimeter system, and then we can begin that part. So it's just 5 questions. Feel free to answer them. Honestly, would like the open feedback. Are we ready? All right, seems we're having a technical glitch with that, but thank you so much once again. Could we have a group photo with our members in the room? Are you available for that? Yes, definitely, panelists first, but then I also would like to request our guests who have stayed past 5 p.m. if they're available for a photo. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Please, on your way out, we have a small goodie and a small gift for you to remember us by. So on your way out, pass by Sanyu's table over there, register, and she will give you the goodie.
Thank you too.
Thank you. That was it. Was good.